And we are in the room, Bahkai. What are you saying?
What's good, man? Nice to be here in my own house.
All to yourself.
All to myself. Yeah, my mom is stuck overseas, so I got my mom's house to myself for the duration of the crisis. So I'm doing a lot of reflecting, doing a lot of, you know, doing a lot of I guess work on myself and kind of developing my hobbies and skills and whatnot, and just freaking watching Netflix and playing Xbox. I'm not gonna deny I'm doing a lot of that too. Am I allowed to swear? I was almost about to swear there, but
Yeah,
I
man.
stopped.
Yeah, of course. I swear every other word, bro. I swear fucking all the time. Do you know what I've been doing? I've been playing, me and Timon have been playing Call of Duty Ghosts.
Oh, Ghost. Well, you're not on that Warzone. What the heck? I was not expecting that.
That's
Ghost.
some old, that's some old game. It's because it's like the only Call of Duty game we still have.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just play like multi. It's fun, man. It's good fun. We're not
It's all the
pro
same
war.
game. It's all the same game.
Yeah, been playing a bit of FIFA. Banged out all 6 series of Lost.
Really?
Yeah,
So you're really gaming there, huh? You really gaming. Oh man.
not.
It's weird because like I'm going through a kind of spiritual experience while I'm at home. I'm trying to meditate more, I'm trying to read more, well-being things and spiritual texts. And like I'm in a kind of pretty zen place. So like when I go into when I'm in that zen place, right? And then I turn on my Xbox and I'm just fucking slaughtering people. It's like, man, this ain't right. So I'm like, these games are a bit much, when you really look at what you're doing. I'm like, these games are a bit intense still. Like, that's really like simulating war. Like, why are we doing that? Why is that so popular? But like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of I'm getting so woke now in my house. I'm getting really woke.
yeah, man. I mean, well, me and we play it with a pinch of salt. Like we don't play it like excessively, but it is
Yeah,
crazy that like it's a game where you are literally running around killing people.
yeah, that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, yeah, that's that's the point of the
There's
game.
nothing more to it than that.
But it's also fun. Like it's a team. Like we get quite into like the whole team aspect of it. So we like
That's true. Yeah.
if it's team deathmatch, you just want to win. You want to get the most
hmm
points and come top of the scoreboard.
It's true. It has that kind of competitive team aspect, which is, I guess, positive. The only positive I can think of. But I mean, like, video games don't really do anything as long as you're not, something's not wrong with you already, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's funny because I think this is a good time for everyone to reflect and get a bit more spiritual and a bit more woke and all of that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like because I mean, it's like I've already been like I already sort of me and my brother have kind of been getting into the whole meditation thing for like
hmm
probably since just over a year now. I think. Well, for me anyway,
Mm.
just over a year. So like, I've already completed it, mate. So
Okay, okay. So, like, you complete it then. Then you're Buddha,
yeah, so I don't know,
Buddha,
man. But it,
enlightened.
it it changes your interactions. I think with gaming and stuff. It's like you're not as invested in it in a way.
No, no. It's very true. It kind of puts you in a. That's why I do it. I think it puts you in a general um state of mind that you take away after the meditation.
Yeah.
Which is why. And it took me a while to get to that point. It's interesting. My last job that I got fired from, my last job did what's it called? Mindfulness, Headspace. They did like Headspace sessions, and they were really good for doing those. Kind of in the middle of the workday, would take out 30 minutes, would do Headspace meditation, and it was really useful. It kind of got me. I just did it as like an extra break, to be honest. But as I was getting more and more into it, it it became a real like, oh, this is actually affecting me now. Like it's actually having a positive effect on like, oh my god, like I'm actually generally like, I'm pretty chill anyways. But now I'm like, oh, now I'm real chill, And I think people underestimate how useful that is. I think that is like better than it's the easiest therapy you can do, just meditation, you know. But it takes a while to kind of know what you're doing when you do it, you know.
Mm. No, it's. I think it's profoundly important, especially if you're someone who's like mind races a lot, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think, I mean, I saw, you know, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, but he had a great
Mhm.
video on YouTube talking about how he, you know, literally would just do 10 minutes a day, and that's all you really need, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And even if it's not always like successful, because I know with me, it's like I don't doesn't always feel that effective, but sometimes
Mhm.
just the practice of sitting down and thinking about nothing else but your breath or whatever, it's
Mhm.
just sometimes it even allows you to just realize what you're thinking, even if you can't focus on your breath. It's like you realize what's on your mind.
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah. You don't need to be good at it. I mean, it's fucking as long as you're doing it, then you're putting yourself in a good place. It's self care, you know. It's self care. People underestimate, so it's self care. Simple as that.
Mm. What's the craziest thing you've been getting up to then in the house all to yourself?
Listen, that ain't appropriate for this video, man. The craziest thing, I have not been doing anything really. I've been reading some crazy books. I've not really been doing anything particularly crazy at all. Actually, it's actually kind of sad how boring my life is right now. But I haven't been doing anything particularly crazy. I guess I'm reading a lot of different things to kind of expand my understanding of things. 'Cause I think a big part of this, a big opportunity this epidemic presents is getting people um, a very existential, you know, and very like they don't have a choice. You know, when you're sat on your own at home, you kind of have to think. Like when you're at work every day, you find that you're not really thinking. You know, so now that I'm at home, even without the meditation, you find yourself wondering like, what am I doing with my life? You know, I guess you're really thinking about. So yeah, I honestly, I'm just like reading
What are you
some
reading?
really. I'm reading some. Well, I have my Kindle. You know, my Kindle. That's like the best. I think my 18th birthday present for my mom. Best thing I ever had because it's like 100 books in there now, and I'm reading some spiritual books written by like gurus and things like that, just kind of telling you like that the meaning of life is love and everything. And they really emphasize the importance of love as a motivator, as the point, you know, of it all. And like life is love, you know, the sun um shining is a form of love to the earth, which creates life, which is birth. You know, it's a emulation of this thing that is like prevalent throughout like all of our reality. It's a very it's deeply profound, and it gets you looking at things with the in a new kind of frame of mind, and that like maybe it's not all fucking like when you go on the news and you see like death, bombs, this and that. It's like, damn, it gets you looking at life in a very existential way. And on a basic fundamental level, life is actually a very positive experience, you know. It's very like, it is founded on the basis of love, you know. And that's the kind of stuff I've been reading. And I also been reading interestingly, some biology books. And it's like, I don't want to, you know, get my conspiracy hat on here, but like, man, well, not biology jokes, like stuff on the internet. I've been spending a bit too much time on the net, as I'm sure we all are, and I'm just reading some different things, boy. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to believe. Some of these things are, I think it's just fishy. I think it's just fishy. And I talked to my dad a lot about it because my father is he's very knowledgeable and he's very like alternative thinker. And we talk about it, and he's just like, listen, it don't make sense. You know, that's the standpoint. It don't make no damn sense, you know, and it has all these like reasons. And I'm just like, I'm with it. I'm like, yeah, it ain't it ain't really computing, a lot of what's going on. It's not computing to me. So I'm kind of interested in that side as well. That's kind of what I'm looking into. But I mean, do you want to go there? We can go in that direction. We can start freaking.
Brother, we will go there, brother. We will go there. I mean, so I just want to quickly jump in on what you were saying before about love and all of that. And I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's really, yeah, it's really important. And I'm glad you're reading into that stuff. And what I
Mm-hmm.
think is interesting is, like you say, and then you turn on the news and it's like death, death, war, war, all of this stuff. And it's like, there's,
Mm-hmm.
for me, there's clearly an effort to create a condition for humans that is fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're saying, there's something so profound and natural about love being our default, like you can't create often human beings are created because of love, right? And
Mm-hmm.
mothers and fathers and relationships. But I do genuinely believe, and what sometimes concerns me is that there is clearly an effort by, I don't know whether we want to call it the powers that be or the media to sort of suppress a level of non-material, sort of non-physical essence in humanity, and it tries to push us into like this material realm of like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be worried about all of this and that rather than just that inner peace that comes from a bit more of a metaphysical level.
Listen, the meta, it's not just the media, it's education, it's everything in our immediate environment from when we go to nursery. It's very much not any kind of attention being paid to the point of it all. I think in any progressive society there would be discussion as to like spirituality, not in a theological way, but in a philosophical, what is consciousness? What are you? But we're really clearly that kind of discussion and that kind of understanding is it's not just like we don't know about it or we don't have the questions. There's a clear avoidance of that in our like bringing up of generations, and it's just like it creates this environment where nobody understands what the hell they're doing and they just go to work and they're content with that, and that's it. And that's the point. It's just to create a very productive workforce, which is what the population is. And I think that's why the virus is useful in a sense, because it's just getting people out of work. And I know everyone's seeing that as like, oh no, like, oh, what am I gonna do, I'm not have a job. But it's like, this is kind of what a lot of y'all need, because like there's more to now start addressing, you know, your problems, start addressing your thoughts. It's gotta, a lot of people just die and their last words are like, I wish I didn't work so hard. That's very common. That's a very common thing people die with feeling. Um, and yeah, I
Is
just
that
think
from all your research at the bedside
that's
table?
from my father actually. I just take everything he says as truth. But that's my source. But what you're saying is absolute facts. Like that metaphysical aspect of, and the metaphysical is this. Here's what people don't realize: the metaphysical has an equal portion of the makeup of reality as the physical, right? Like consciousness, everything, all of that, meaning of life. That is clearly like what is prevalent or what is probably more substantial than what we can materially experience, which is literally just like almost like toys, just fucking on the playground. We're not doing anything real. So it's baffling how we're just fucking. Oh man, you got me talking real. You got me. Listen, NSA is about to track me after this conversation. I'm kind of shook. I have to fucking get my VPN on after this. But it's like if the metaphysical, right, is probably what is making up everything we experience, then why is it being completely ignored? You
Well, I
know?
mean, it's not by a lot of religious folk, I guess, but they understand it in a bit of an, through the spectrum of organized religion, which has its own problems.
Mm. But I've been reading a lot about religion too. And there's this. You heard about that show Midnight Gospel? They kind of that
Duncan
really.
Russell.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They kind of bring it up and that as well. And it's something I've been reading. It's kind of talking about religion in a positive. Well, not religion in general, but just like just Jesus. And I was brought up Christian, but I just kind of like I was like I don't really know about this. But I kind of recently kind of got a little bit back into it because I'm like, oh, there's actually something to really because it's in alignment with a lot of the philosophy I'm reading, which is like the practice of unconditional love is um is like what everyone should aspire towards experiencing. Being able to love unconditionally, which is what Jesus was able to do. Even if they said, I think they said if there's only one person in the world, Jesus still would have died that humiliating death because that's how much he loved like everyone. And that's like that is really profound. Like loving a stranger like you love your own child. That's something that Buddha taught. And does Buddha, I don't know, Buddha talks about that love that much. It's more
They-
detachment.
Yeah.
But that's so true. Like, and that's the point of religion. Love thy neighbor. That's why but it's really been convoluted into something completely different, like all these rules and everything. There really shouldn't be all these rules. I actually don't believe in like the Ten Commandments. I'm like, what's all? I think that's a little bit of manipulation. I think the rules are love thy neighbor, um, do unto others as you wish to be done, or whatever. That's it. If we lived in a society which followed those two basic principles, we'd have an automatic utopia. You don't need all these other 15 other rules. You just do those two, and then you've created a paradise. You've created what we can consider to be something good. But yeah, are we getting off topic here? This is
No,
very
not at
left
all, man.
left field.
I think it's interesting, and yeah, man, I definitely have come to take a lot of the principles and stuff in religion seriously of late, and think more about all of that stuff. And I think
Hmm.
one of the most important things is to consider though is that all the love thy neighbor stuff is great, and I think it's important and very much a remedy for a lot of things. But the thing is, when embracing things like religion, spirituality, Christianity, they all do talk of the dark forces as well. And I'm not to get too da 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 da, but obviously, the devil is a big thing in the Bible, and it does sometimes make you think like if you can't necessarily believe in God in isolation from
Hmm.
acknowledging the fact that there are probably some negative forces at work in this
Hmm.
reality we're in as well. And I think actually acknowledging that they exist is a better
Yeah.
way to be able to navigate against them. I think one of the reasons as humans we give in to material desires or whatever so easily is maybe perhaps because we think this is all random, we think nothing matters, right, in this realm we're in. But actually acknowledging that maybe there is some kind of negative energy trying to take humans away from the spiritual and towards the material, I mean, then it helps you maybe equip yourself better for like, no, I'm gonna operate from that place of love and
Hmm.
spirit. But yeah,
Mm.
I want to know what your dad's been telling you, because I went right into the rabbit hole, and I had to get myself back up. I had to come up for breath.
I'm in there right now. Honestly, you gave me a ladder out. I'm about to after this call. I'm going right back in. I'm fucking in the rabbit hole right now. My father was saying, well, I don't want to,
Don't incriminate
put
yourself.
any words in exactly. I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything. But a lot of the things we're discussing is just how the level of panic isn't the level of panic and the level of, I guess, how it's being portrayed isn't actually justifiable in a wider context of, I guess, crisis, what can be considered a crisis, and in a medical and scientific perspective, what is, again, a crisis. I guess you can call it a pandemic, but at the same time, if you look at all the other ways and all the other statistics which come with fatalities. It is worrying, but it's hard to justify how it's being portrayed, or it's hard to say that there isn't a level of exaggeration um, in how the entire thing is being presented. You know, I think people. I don't think there's actually very biased reporting, which is what we've concluded. It's just not, because first of all, when I look at the news, I'm just seeing straight death stats. And they put the deaths in this size, right? Total cases, yeah, recovered. I'm like, what? But surely the recovered is what I want to be looking at. I don't want to be looking at all that death. They put all the death. It's just like, it's not actually. The numbers aren't as high as other contagious illnesses. Do you not, like, it's amazing how many people die. I don't know the numbers, but a lot of people die of the flu. A lot of people die of the flu every year. A lot more than the millions. And it's so we've created this environment of fear, which for me is unjustifiable, because now I walk past people with my partner, and people looking at us kind of funny, like, so like you see old people kind of like shook, like when we're walking down the street together, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, this is crazy, because, and you can see how old people are so freaking shook now, like they are shook, boy. Old people are so like, I'm gonna die in a minute, kind of thing, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just me because I'm like Sierra Leonean. I've been to Sierra Leone a few times. I've had malaria twice. I mean, I know this ain't gonna kill me if malaria ain't killed me. It's not. The panic is for me a little bit, I think, irresponsible of the our administration. I think it's irresponsible to put the public in a state of panic um,
Mm.
intentionally. I can't actually. It's not actually. It's very intentional. Every single morning, I get texts on my phone. 90,000 people dead. That's it. No total cases. No other stats. 90,000 people dead. Coronavirus. I'm like, well, you ain't telling me when 500,000 people died of the flu. You weren't talking to me about that.
Yeah.
You were fucking, that didn't matter. But now I'm getting these texts, and as soon as they relaxed the lockdown, then the information started increasing. Like, oh, since 2 days ago, 150 people are now dead. And it's just like, is that actually necessary? I'm like, well, what is actually the use of that,
Mm.
aside from making me uneasy? Like, what I want to, if there is like a reason why that's happening, which I'm not aware of, I'd love to know. I'm open to understanding that. But for me, I'm like, this is just fear mongering. I cannot say it as anything else. I don't understand why you are trying so hard to make me think of how many people are dying at this point, when that has never been a thing that has been done in terms of media reporting when it comes to these things. And like, maybe I'm downplaying the seriousness of it all, but I do think there's something of an irresponsible um, presentation, which creates a very uneasy and panic-stricken population, which is like, again, in this along this agenda of fear mongering, but this is just a lot more than is usual. And it's obviously ain't right. Another thing me and my father talk about is the vaccine thing, because there's news saying there's a vaccine going to be out this year. And it's like, well, first of all, you can't make a vaccine that quickly. You can't do that. Like, vaccines take 5 to 10 years to make. So how the fuck do you have a vaccine already? First of all, that's just fact. That's just fact. You can't do that, right? You have to test it on animals. You have to do all this stuff. You clearly didn't do any of that, or you already had the vaccine. One of those two things, So it's like, you know, this vaccine is too. The premise is too strange. If it's not being tested appropriately, or if it already existed, both of which are as worrying as each other. So really, what should I really be afraid of here? Because I don't think it's the virus. I don't really think so anymore. I think, like, I'm more afraid of that vaccine than the virus. I'm not gonna lie, and that's not even conspiracy theory. It's just like you can't make a vaccine that fast.
We don't have
Vaccine
a,
in a year?
we don't have
That's
a vaccine for the flu. They're like, or you know what I mean?
exactly. No, it's true. You don't. You don't. And then this comes a question like, okay, is this going to be like a one-time thing, or do you have you can have a vaccine flu shot? It's just not a pro. And let me tell you one more thing that with regards to viruses and bacteria, right? This is a medical, like biological book I've been reading. Now, the funny thing is that creating antibiotics in the antibiotic industry is very expensive, and bacteria evolves very quickly to, I guess, outperform our antibiotics. So the pharmaceutical companies are in this actually constant race whereby they have to continuously come out with a new strain of antibiotics to combat the new evolved kind of bacteria that is prevalent. So and antibiotics have been increasingly more and more expensive to produce. So viruses and bacteria have actually been outperforming our antibiotics for a while, especially because antibiotics are so overly subscribed. And we all know antibiotics are the kind of, I don't know, silver bullet for most infections, you know. So we've already been in a situation where pharmaceutical companies just don't give a fuck. They're just not making any new antibiotics. It's just like, well, it's just not worth the money now. So there's actually eventually going to be some kind of, I don't want to say outbreak, but some kind of situation whereby people are less equipped to deal with infections. And I think overall for me, it's just like with the medical and pharmaceutical companies, I just think there's just so much foul play going on, and such a lack of information being given with regards to
Mm.
health in general, that it's I don't think the WHO is like a reliable source. Like what are they telling me? Like that's just
Yeah,
they're not telling me anything real, you know?
they're in bed with China, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's a
No,
shame
you're right.
because obviously there was the whole. I mean, they were tweeting out stuff saying that this virus couldn't spread to humans, and that I mean, the WHO have all sorts of issues with them, but
Hmm.
I think you said a lot of interesting stuff there. I think the media, I mean, I'll just put the counter argument there just for the sake, but it's like
Yeah,
if,
yeah,
if it's it was a novel coronavirus, it was new, something that wasn't understood or known.
yeah.
So clearly there was an increased worry just because it was new and people still don't seem to understand exactly what it is, something that seems to be really affecting some people bad and not affecting others bad. It's like, are there multiple viruses going around? I mean, people just don't know what the fuck this specific thing is. So I think that's what's freaking a lot of people out and why the media went crazy. Having said that, I completely agree that the fucking fear mongering is going to do more worse than good. And we didn't, I mean, there's so much bullshit with that, with the media and the way they kind of inform us of all this stuff. But also, I just kind of want to put as well is that, like, I found, and I know you're in the rabbit hole right now, but I think there's a point as well where you've kind of got to, like, not get too carried away with all the anomalies and question marks with this thing and start thinking
Hmm.
about the bigger picture. Because, like, I feel like you can get stuck in a rut because you only need one or two, three, and like anomalies or pieces of contradictory information to make you think, all right, something fucked up is going on here. So I'm kind of more interested in how we as humans go on from this point, do you know what I mean, and not get too caught up in the hang on, that doesn't add up, because it is obvious to me so much shit doesn't add up. So we kind of need to be prepared for what this new world is going to look like. I feel. You bought a gun
Absolutely,
yet?
man. What'd you say?
You bought a gun yet?
I've, well, if they enforce mandatory vaccines, I might have to, I might have to hole up in my little flat.
I don't think they can enforce a vaccine because there'll be too many people who don't want it. quite frankly, it'll be an optional thing, and it'll be like, you know, the worst case scenario is that they're like, you can't travel unless you've got a vaccine, you can't do X, and then you'll just have people
Right.
being like, well, fuck it, I don't need to travel then. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you're very right, and I think that's where the fear mongering is very effective, because if I'm being sent messages every day that, oh, this how many people are dying, this how many people are dying, this how many, and I don't think those messages are gonna stop. You know, it's even after, I guess, the crisis is over, we're gonna still be giving news like, hey, you got your vaccine yet? No. Well, you know, 50 people died today, so you might start having to think about, you know, and it's just like it's whatever. But you're right. The rabbit hole, because obviously shit doesn't add up, but you know what, shit doesn't add up on the regular anyways in this world. You know, nothing is adding up. You know, all you gotta do is do the research. So it's not like this is anything that new. You know, just new because it's fucking being reported so much. But yeah, it's quite easy to get very distracted from what could be otherwise very productive time. You know, at this in this current kind of situation. So yeah, I try not to get too wrapped up in it all. I don't really buy it. But at the same time, I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't really care. You know what? I'm just gonna play my Xbox. Nothing's gonna. Can I do anything? No. I can think what I want to think, and I'll hold my opinions. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not losing sleep over this virus. I don't care. The virus can't kill me. You know. Um, and when I see people that aren't social distancing or whatever, like, listen, I'm hanging out with my girl. Y'all can't stop me from doing. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna indefinitely not see my girl. Like, that's wild to me. Like, so, but I limit it to that. I don't really actually see other family, more so out of respect of other people's fears, not because am really that scared. Um, and when I see people that are hanging out with their loved ones, I'm not getting mad at them. You know, like, can you imagine we live in a world where people are hanging out, or I guess people flaunt it and have massive barbecues. It's like, okay, taking a piss. But you see people like hanging out with their family or hanging out with their loved ones, and then you're out here calling a number that they've given you to report them, like, because it's a crime. I do not understand the kind of society that that's creating. It's actually the antithesis of what we've been talking about, which is love being the answer. Where they created an environment where love is a crime, you know, in certain ways, unless it's via Zoom, which, you know, ain't really how Mother Nature intended it, you know.
Mm.
So and I think that's a real, and aside from the fear mongering, that's also, I think, might be, I don't want to say the point, but a effect. I don't know if it's intentional, but the effect of this kind of crisis is that we created an environment where people just aren't able to um, interact, share love, and create and raise the kind of, you know, the good vibes of the country, the planet, or whatever. You're kind of creating them, or just a colder world, you know, in this kind of way. And I just hate the reporting thing. I hate how they gave people a number to call if you see people hanging out. I'm just like, what is that? What is that fucking Third Reich shit? You know, like, don't be doing that. You know, like, come on now. That's so like,
Yeah,
what kind of person must you be to call that number? You know?
and there's a big argument to be made that your immune system is actually strengthened by you know, being out in the fresh air and meeting other people, right? And that's one of the worries, is that at the end of this, people's immune systems might effectively be weaker because they haven't been exposed to different bacterium and all of this kind of thing. So
People gonna be some wussies after this. People not going gym. People sitting indoors for 4 straight months. They're gonna go out. One gust of wind is gonna give them a heart attack. You know, I don't really think it's. I don't know. Maybe, hey, I might be wrong, but it's just kind of weakening um, people rather than strengthening. But I mean, I guess you can argue both sides as well. I'm sure there's a real strong case for social distancing and isolation. I appreciate that. I get it. I get it. The isolation is necessary, and I do respect the isolation and social distancing. But I think there should be an understanding that you cannot keep people, especially me. I'm here on my own. You're gonna tell me I cannot leave my house or see anyone for 6 months? Like, that's pretty. How is that not house arrest? How is that not being under house arrest or prison? You know, it's like there should be a appreciation that actually we probably should be a little bit more reasonable and not have this kind of narrative now where it's just like, oh, if you're seeing your loved one, like you're a bad person. Which
Yeah,
is kind of how I feel with my girl now. And it's awful. It's just like I feel bad walking around with my partner. I'm like, I hate that. I really, really hate that. You know,
mm.
it kind of bothers me.
There's got to be an optional element to it, hasn't there? In the same way that, like, you know, if the media reported on car crashes every day and was like, this amount of people died from a car crash, this amount of people died from a car crash
Mm-hmm.
today, and da, 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 you shouldn't drive, this is bad,
Mm-hmm.
driving is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you go and drive in your car, you're entering that car with the risk that you might crash and die. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to allow humans to have that freedom of taking life into their own hands. Now, I know this virus is about other people, and I completely respect that we have to protect the vulnerable right now. That
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, like, no
Very
doubt
true.
against
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
But on, you know, infringing on other people's freedoms for something that clearly has a very low mortality rate. I mean, you know, this would be a different scenario. If people were dropping dead in the street, I ain't leaving the fucking house, man. Okay, cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I will happily I'll sit in my closet for 3 months. I'm good. Like I do not need to see daylight. I am fine. But you telling me I can't see my dad for 6 months over a mortality rate, which is very comparatively low to most non-severe illnesses or non-fatal illnesses. Like, hmm.
Yeah, it's
All I
crazy.
have to say, all I have to say is, hmm.
But we'll get through it, man. We'll get through it. I'm
Get
confident that.
through it. It's no biggie. It's no biggie. I think we should always take it back to the fact that it's time to reflect. You know, it's really time. This could be, honestly, this could actually be extremely good. You know, we can talk about the bad all day, but this could be extremely good if once we're out of it and you have a population who is a lot more self-aware. You know, like, can you imagine a population which is like, oh, well, maybe actually work isn't the point of my birth, you know? Maybe there's something more to my fucking breathing than sitting in front of my desk, you know? If you have a population like that who, like, is just more aware, you know, and observes things on a deeper level, which I hope is a result. I don't think many people make very much use of this time, but um, even if that isn't the case, you create an environment or an economy which is perhaps able to sustain a like mode of production which doesn't rely on going into an office every day. You know, maybe we have an economy where people generally have more free time. You know, people probably will have less, you know, abundance, but on the whole, we might have a population where, like, maybe a lot of people start doing a 3-day working week simply because that's all companies can afford to pay. Maybe people generally have less money, but I think if we have I'd actually prefer um, I'd rather have less money and work less. You know, like I really would. I really would. I found that there's a position where after uni I was pretty good for cash. There's like there's always that 1 year period when you're young and you seem to have a lot of money. You know, it's for maybe like 4 months. You know, as a period when I was really good for cash. But I was working so much, and I was commuting to central London, and that commute was like an hour and a half, and it was like 3 hours a day commute. And it was like, this fucking sucks. Like, oh my God, this is awful. You know, I don't need the money, you know? Give me a little bit of, it's funny, I prefer being on universal credit than working. Ain't that some shit? That's the exact thing. As a country and a government, you have to stop from happening. You know, you have to create conditions whereby that isn't a thing. But in our current environment, and a lot of people agree with me, sitting at home on universal credit is 50 million times better than what we were all doing before, you know? So that's not good. You failed as a country then if your population would rather not do anything, you know, because doing something is the equivalent of misery, you know? So I hope once we come out of this crisis, we perhaps have an environment or situation where like there's an appreciation of like free time, you know, and necessity. And we're already kind of moving there anyways, because a lot of places of work were being a lot more generous, doing a lot more like well-being things and being a lot better with my last place of work had self-care days, you know, in addition to your annual leave, you got like 5 days of self-care that you can take if you need like a mental health day. And that's kind of becoming a little bit more popular with the newer companies. And I think we need to continue that trajectory. So hopefully that'll be a result of all this nonsense, right? Silver lining.
Totally, bro, man. Absolutely. And yeah, it's funny. I didn't think we were gonna go this deep today, man, but I love it. I like
Listen,
it.
talking to the wrong guy if you didn't think it was gonna get deep. Oh, it can get deeper, Williams. It can get as deep as you want.
Absolutely, man. You know I love it though. But yeah, no, it's mad. What you're saying is interesting, and I think especially what you're saying about the fact that yeah, society has failed if
Mm-hmm.
people prefer not working to working. There's something inherently wrong with the jobs we're doing. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it's interesting because we are on the cusp, and that's what I won't go down the fucking new world order rabbit hole, but you know, with AI and the development of technology, you slowly see this whole like taking humans out of the workforce, letting robots do it, hook us up to like the Xboxes and the Netflix and
Bro, have you seen the next gen console graphics? I'm like, well, this is how you put a whole population to sleep. You are putting everyone is fucking good night. I'm fucking in this TV now. I'm done with real life. Like that shit's so realistic. Oh my god. And I was telling my father like, yo, if they have you seen it though? Have you seen the next gen graphics? You need to look it up. If they do this, um if they present this and it's super realistic, like wow, and they put this shit in VR, well, I'm done with real life. Fuck it. It's been nice, y'all, but 25 years is all I need. Now I'm my avatar now. Okay, refer to me as the warlock because I'm done with being Bahkai. Okay, you know, and that's so true what you're saying. Like they're just putting people to sleep slowly. So it's amazing how video games it's just so fucking advanced now. It's progressing so quickly. Netflix is becoming bigger and bigger. It's just like good night, you know. Good night. Go to sleep. Just go to fucking sleep right now. Oh man, I really want you to look at the PS5 graphics. You will shit yourself. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm like, is that not real life? Is that
yeah,
not a video?
yeah. You need to watch Ready Player One. It's like the
I've
blueprint.
seen that. Yeah. There you go.
It's the
That's it.
blueprint.
Say no more.
Yeah, it's scary, man. It's scary, and yeah, I hope that because yeah, why I think that is a bit scary is because it's like as much as gaming is an important part of enjoyment as well. You do worry that like if it's that good,
Mm-hmm.
motherfuckers ain't gonna want to leave the.
That's what I'm saying.
But
100%.
and we have to have a serious think about what is it that we do actually value about being a human and in this real world, and we need to try and fucking find some passion for that shit again before we literally get hooked into the fucking data matrix. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I mean, fucking hell, it's all God's plan, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all, it'll all be all right. I have a firm belief that even though I don't like a lot of things I'm seeing, I have a firm belief it'll all be all right. If it ain't gonna be all right, it wouldn't be happening. I mean, we talked about the negative powers that be and like the devil aspect of the Bible. But at the end of the day, like it's all love, I hate
God
that sound like a
wins.
exactly. God win. I hate, and it's funny how I was so like anti that person. Like, oh my god, look at this hippie. Like, But now I'm really like, you know, I get it now. You know, love is everything. God wins, and if it wasn't meant to be, then it wouldn't actually be happening. You know, it is all, you know, gonna work out in some way that I cannot fully grasp at this present moment. And I think people really need to keep that in mind. In our very secular society, it's very like, the world's ending kind of bullshit. It's like, well, not really. You know, you have it pretty good, bro. Okay, you're on a laptop right now telling me the world's ending with a full stomach in a heated house. World's just world's pretty good for you. I don't know what's ending for you. Fucking so.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, man, that's a lovely positive note to end on, I think.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, this was good fun, man. And we're definitely gonna have to revisit this stuff
Oh,
when the PS5 comes out. We'll do
well,
another
yeah, we'll have a
podcast.
whole thing. Oh, yeah. Listen, that AI, that's why I didn't get started on the AI conversation. I'm like, listen, man, that's another call right there. We'll
Mm.
come back to it. But yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. It's a nice break. You know, I always fucking jump at the opportunity. Oh, if someone wants to talk to me, great. Fucking house on my own.
That's why I just need to fucking talk to people, man. Like
You know what I
I'm done
mean?
with my family, man. I've rinsed them out. But yeah, man, great speaking to you. Great to see you and catching up and everything. And yeah, man, let's definitely do this again soon.
Yeah, bro. Looking forward to it. Good to talk to you, bro. Catch
Big
you on the
ups,
flip
man.
side.
Take it easy, yeah.
Yeah,
Peace.
man. Safe.